Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Thursday's edition of the DCEU Daily. And amazingly, Michael Keaton's bat suit from Batman 89 and 92 still fits 30 years later. Michael Keaton's Batman suit still fits 30 years later. Michael Keaton, who will be reprising his role as Batman in the upcoming DCEU film The Flash, says that his suit still fits and he's svelte as ever. By Brennan Klein of Screen Rant. In a recent interview about his upcoming appearance as Batman in The Flash, Michael Keaton explained that his superhero suit still fits perfectly. The Flash, which is coming to theatres on November the 4th, 2022, is being helmed by IT director Andy Muschietti and stars Ezra Miller as the titular speedster. The film sees Barry Allen tries to travel back in time to undo his mother's death, accidentally unleashing disastrous consequences. The DC Universe is attempting an MCU-style multiverse crossover. Excuse me? This project was announced before the MCU ever did or said anything about the multiverse. It's actually a DC-style multiverse crossover, if you like. But let's get this out the way straight away. Flashpoint and Spider-Man No Way Home are completely different films, and I'll explain to you why. Flashpoint is quite an old, it's been around, not as one of the oldest graphic novels, but it's been around for quite a long time. So they're using Flashpoint in a loose adaptation to reboot the DCEU. This will be a celebration of the DCEU, using everyone they've used thus far, maybe not Ray Fisher, but mostly it's a celebration, right? And this is going to be such a more different film than you get in Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, Spider-Man No Way Home may show a lot of MCU characters. It may show Bryan Singer's X-Men. It may do a lot of things that we don't know about. We'll have to wait and see. But don't ever call what we're doing at DC a Marvel-style crossover. In the project, which will see the return of Ben Affleck's Batman as well as Keaton's, they will not feature George Clooney. Well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll have to wait and see. Keaton originally played the Caped Crusader in Tim Burton's Batman 1989 and Batman Returns 1992. He hasn't reprised the role since then, though his Oscar-nominated performance in Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, explored his legacy playing the superhero in a fictionalized setting in 2014. That wasn't the first movie to harness the impact of his comic book hero performance, even though Keaton himself claims he hasn't watched a comic book movie since 1989. He was also cast as Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, a role he will be reprising in the upcoming Sony Spider-Man Universe film Morbius, starring Jared Leto. Strange, isn't it? We got Jared Leto from the DCEU in that project, and we got Michael Keaton basically from the DCEU in that project as well. I'm excited for Morbius. While on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert promoting his latest miniseries Dope Sick, Keaton discussed stepping back into the Batman suit. Colbert jokingly asked the actor if they had to let the suit out a little to fit him decades later, to which Keaton answered an emphatic no, saying he was svelte as ever, man. Keaton added he could wear the suit with the same dimensions. While his costume might have stayed the same, it seems that Keaton's performance has been resurrected just as easily. The Flash's cinematographer recently called Keaton a genius. Well, he is, isn't he? Saying it was wonderful to see him recreate that role. But in the present day, considering how much time seems to have stood still with his 1992 iteration of Batman, he and Affleck may essentially be playing Batman at the same age. Maybe. Even though Keaton isn't kidding about staying in shape, it's unlikely that the costume he wears in The Flash is literally the same one. Thanks for that. It's currently unknown if the film's production team will redesign his signature cowl and cape in any way. It's unlikely this will be the case, however, considering the importance of keeping Batman's legacy alive in this new extended universe, What's more, after 3 decades, it's doubtful that the original costume is in fighting shape, despite Keaton keeping his impressive dimensions. Well, they would have had that suit in mothballs. These costumes are looked after. Sometimes they're in museums, sometimes the actors buy them, sometimes other trillionaires buy them, but I can assure you that suit would have been looked after. No, I don't think he's wearing exactly the same suit. They would have redesigned exactly the same suit. But yeah, it's great that the dimensions are still the same. Listen, it's a bit of a lighter DCEU story, isn't it? We don't really normally do them on the DCEU Daily. There's not very big news on today's DCEU Daily. You know, you've got to wait for Saturday week. I mean, if you haven't subscribed to Movies TV Mad, now's the time to do it. A week on Saturday, I will be dropping bite-sized videos every time a piece of DC live-action news drops at DC Fandom. 2-minute videos, 5-minute videos, upload, wait for something else to come up. And the same, it's going to be a very busy day for me, and it's going to be a very busy day for anyone who loves DC. And I can't wait to be bringing you that stuff, reacting to all the news and interviews and quotes. It's going to be amazing. One of the biggest debates between Batman fans has been since Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, and it's about Batfleck killing. And ever since then, we've all been debating, well, Batman's killed before, he shouldn't kill, he should kill, it's all right, and it's out there. I kind of touched on this the other day and said I'm okay with it, but there's a bit of a good little article here from Screen Rant, and Porter Lap, I can't say that name, I tried, okay? We're going to call you Porter. How Batman's no-kill rule changed pop culture forever. Batman's no-kill rule was necessary after he committed murder in his first few comic appearances, and pop culture has never been the same. Interesting though, I didn't know this, that he actually killed before. So for those people who say Batman doesn't kill, well, he did at the beginning. Batman didn't always have a problem with murdering criminals, but the introduction of his famous no-kill rule changed pop culture forever. In his first few months, the Caped Crusader was a gun-wielding killing machine. Wow! I tell you what, every time someone argues about BVS, we should quote tweet this article. However, between concerned parents and ethically minded editors, The Dark Knight triggered one of the most significant moral shifts in the history of comic writing. The effects of one Batman comic still ripple throughout pop culture more than 80 years later. Now, this is a big deal to a lot of people. I don't like creatives bending the knee, whether it's now or 80 years ago or whatever. I think if your character kills, right, let's look at Dexter Morgan. Dexter, right, the serial killer who murders other serial killers. Say if everyone got offended and said he shouldn't be doing that, what would Dexter Morgan be doing every week? You'd have to cancel the show. It would be dumb, right? Bruce Wayne was famously introduced in 1939 in Detective Comics 27 by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. In this 6-page story, he deliberately kills at least one baddie by pushing him into a pool of acid. Sounds good to me. This trend of violence continued with many of Batman's early comics featuring the hero brandishing a gun. This wasn't at all uncommon for comics at the time. Most comic book heroes used deadly force when necessary, like the real World War heroes who were so popular after World War II. However, after the introduction of Robin in Detective Comics 38, Batman comics started to draw a younger audience. Parents began to express concern until a breaking point was reached in 1940 with Batman 1. Again, let me say something else about all of this. Something about now the modern audience. The modern audience expect characters to be morally perfect. And what's funny about that is, you're not morally perfect. I'm not morally perfect. Why should Batman, a character that's not real? Everyone keeps on apologising for James Bond for being this womanizer who doesn't treat women very well. Well, we're flawed. We don't treat each other very well. Why should a fictional character? That is my bugbear about this conversation. This issue sparked the need for the no-kill rule that would come to define the Dark Knight. As Batman guns down several villains with a machine gun, he says, "Much as I hate to take human life, I'm afraid this time it's necessary. A few panels later, he remarks he's probably better off this way, as he hangs a man by his neck from the backplane. Jesus Christ, Snyder's BVS is like child's play compared to this. Parents were shocked, and editor Whitney Ellsworth agreed that some changes were necessary, and Ellsworth was a great guy. What he did is he reshaped the whole of DC Comics to be kid-friendly. He was amazing. He was in charge of everything DC, even the Adventures of Superman starring George Reeves. He was great. Agreed that some changes were necessary. He immediately told the artist to never show Batman using guns, and soon after issued a company-wide editorial policy for DC Comics that heroes should never kill a villain, no matter the depths of his villainy. This became a famous trademark of the character in Batman 4, when during a sword fight with the pirates, he tells his sidekick, use only the flat of your sword, Robin. Remember, we never kill with weapons of any kind. This shift in the company set a precedent for family-friendly superheroes for decades to come. It became extremely rare for any superheroes to be seen using deadly force ever. Many have noted that in cartoons and comics today, writers even go out of their way to avoid words like kill or die. These practices are remnants of standards enforced by the Comics Code Authority established in 1954, which formalised many of the regulations set for DC by Ellsworth. While writers weren't legally required to follow CCA guidelines, most retailers refused to sell comics that did not carry the CEA stamp of approval. According to comic book historian Dr. Amy Kist Nyberg, nowadays any piece of fiction depicting a more realistic side of crime fighting is considered gritty. Whether or not children should be watching their role models kill people is up for debate. However, the social norm remains in place even after 80 years. Let me ask you a question. On all these social media platforms, there are videos of violence. When 9/11 happened, we saw buildings exploding. We've seen a lot of disgusting real-life things. What about on the news, the crap we see on there and the stuff that they show? Should they be showing that? Listen, murder, killing, the ugly side of life is real. It happens. You can't hide from it. You can't protect your children from it. In fact, it's better that they know about it. Although the Defender of Gotham has long been considered among the darkest of heroes, it was he who set the standard for gentler heroes who followed him. His character has since been rewritten many times to show the more brutal side of Batman, yet in most iterations his one rule still remains. While some characters and readers may question the cost of his strict code, Batman's commitment to never killing, much like the impact it's had on pop culture, has endured. So this is interesting because Superman's pretty much had a no-kill policy, and it's a very important part of the character now. Snyder also, well, let's say David Goyer also had him break Zod's neck in Man of Steel. Now, although I don't think Batman killing's a big deal, it doesn't irk me if he doesn't. Now, we know in the Batman, written and directed by Matt Reeves, he won't kill, and they'll make a big deal explaining why and all of that, which is great. And I think that's good, because we've seen him do all of that. We don't need to see him again. There's arguments that Keaton's Batman killed a lot inadvertently, that Christian Bale's Batman killed Ra's al Ghul, not in cold blood, but he let him die. It's tomato or tomato, isn't it? I don't care if your Batman doesn't kill. I don't care if your Batman kills. I still love the character, and I think he's awesome. Black Adam set photos reveal first look at DC's Hawkman costume. Some new images have surfaced from the sets of DC's Black Adam, and they offer a detailed look at Hawkman's armor helmet and spaceship by Saeed Fadullah Hosseini of Screen Rant. Right, we've read that bit. New Black Adam set photos offer a glimpse at Hawkman's costume. DCEU's upcoming blockbuster Black Adam features former WWE superstar Dwayne Johnson in his hotly anticipated debut as the eponymous Kundug Warrior. Johnson has been attached to play the character for over a decade. Initially, he was meant to appear as a supporting character in David F. Sandberg's Shazam movie, as well as an earlier version of Suicide Squad. Eventually, DC and WB deemed him a better fit for a solo movie, and they spun his character off into an original film set 5,000 years after the wrongful imprisonment of the ancient Egyptian anti-hero. Directed by Gianni Colessera, Black Adam was set to premiere this December, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic was delayed until July the 29th, 2022. We've got 4 movies next year. This works out better for me, I don't know about you. Despite a rocky production, why do they call productions rocky when they're not rocky? Black Adam had a great production. Despite a rocky production, anticipation for Black Adam remains high. I don't understand what you're talking about, mate. Fans are of course-corseted to catch their favourite action star in the first stint as a superhero, but apart from that, there is a lot of excitement for the live-action debut of the Justice Society of America, JSA, in Black Adam. The JSA comprises of 4 superhero underdogs who believe in fighting for justice and truth. The JSA members include Noah Centinio's Atom Smasher, Quintenza Swindell's Cyclone, and Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate. The leader of them all is Aldis Hodge's Hawkman, the reincarnation of an Egyptian prince whose metal wings give him the ability to fly. Recently, Hawkman's World, a Twitter fan account dealing with all aspects of the DC universe, shared images from the sets of Black Adam. The images focus on the movie's wardrobe, providing a detailed look at the ensemble that Hodge will presumably be sporting for his role as Hawkman in the movie. In the pictures, fans can get a good look at Hodge's Hawkman armor and helmet. There are multiple as each is used for a different purpose, e.g. stunts and VFX. Now, I'm not going to show you these because WB have been taking them down and taking videos and pictures and people who are posting these accounts down, so I'm not going to do that, but they do look awesome. I'm sure all you guys and girls and however you identify certainly have seen these already. Black Adam was finished with filming by July, but there hasn't been a single look at any of the characters in their superhero outfits yet, because we're going to see that, my friend, at Fandom. The movie's official artwork has depicted what Johnson would look like in his role as Adam, but for the rest of the cast, fans made their own interpretations via digital art and other mediums to imagine what their characters could look like. Recently, a piece of fan art envisioned Hodge as Hawkman. Although the artwork was quite comics accurate, it didn't include Hawkman's armour, which now fans know is an important component of the JSA leader's get-up. As the new images show, Black Adam is hewing close to its source material, and at least for defining its character's appearances. Hawkman's chestplate and helmet are both pretty loyal to their versions in the comics. That's great to hear, especially the helmet, which features Hawkman's signature massive wings. A cape cannot be seen, and neither can the Fangorian mace, the Nif metal weapon that Hawkman usually carries around. Of course, right now, it's hard to make anything out of them as they are all separate items, but when Hodge will appear on the screen donning his costume, it will surely make for a dazzling spectacle, that it will. One that won't leave fans disappointed. Look, all the costumes look fantastic, but obviously we want to see them on the people. We're going to get a sneak peek or a little trailer. I don't know what they're going to show us, but this is why Fandom's so excited. 5 upcoming DCEU movies, including Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which isn't released till 2023, of course. We're going to see a lot of fucking stuff, and it's so exciting. When Darkseid finally unlocks Anti-Life, even he can't control it. Darkseid has long sought the anti-life equation. When he actually gets it in an alternate universe, he quickly loses control of it. I actually like this because the anti-life equation is something you wouldn't be able to control. So this is interesting because in Zack Snyder's vision, I think he can kind of control it, but it could get too much for him in Justice League 2 and 3. We will have to wait and see when Zack finally gets round to doing them. This is by Sean Corley of Screen Rant. Since Darkseid's first appearance, he has sought the terrifying anti-life equation, which he will use to enslave all living beings. Darkseid's pursuit of it has raged first across the DC universe and now the multiverse as a whole. Fans have wondered what might happen if Darkseid did get his hands on the equation, and Justice League Infinity 4, on sale now in print and digital, they get their answer. Set in the same continuity as Justice League Unlimited and the greater DC animated universe, Justice League Infinity picks up where the cartoon left off. continuing to chronicle the team's adventures. The multiverse has become fractured, with characters slipping in and out of the universes. For instance, Overman, the evil Nazi Superman, has come to the League's Earth, and Superman has been sent to his universe. As the Justice League heads into the multiverse, Wonder Woman is sent to another parallel Earth. There she comes face to face with Darkseid, who was seemingly defeated in Justice League Unlimited's final episode. Wonder Woman is understandably shocked to see him standing in a cave, holding a torch and addressing her as if they were friends in Justice League Infinity 4. Written by J.M. DeMatteis and James Tucker, with art by Ethan Beavers, colour by Nick Ferrari, and letters by DC Hopkins. Wonder Woman learns a shocking secret about this Darkseid, one that answers fan questions. This Darkseid hails from another world in the multiverse, and like his counterparts, invaded Earth looking for the anti-life equation. However, Wonder Woman was able to convince Darkseid that this conflict would never end, and he agreed. Oddly enough, they fell in love, but Darkseid continued his quest and ultimately obtained the equation. However, he was not able to control it, and it quickly escaped from his clutches and consumed the entire universe, leaving Darkseid as its sole survivor and banishing him to a desolate planet to live out the rest of his life in sadness and in misery. What would I rather do? Wake up in the morning with Wonder Woman, or end up like that? I know what I would want. Darkseid is a fearsome conqueror who has ground whole empires beneath his heels, and yet the anti-life equation is too much, even for him. He loses control of it and watches his dreams of conquest vanish before him. It is worth noting this is a Darkseid from an alternate universe, a Darkseid who had been softened by his love for Wonder Woman. Could this have been a factor in his losing control of the anti-life equation? Yeah, I think so. Also, the mainstream Darkseid has recently abandoned his quest for the anti-life and now seeks the great darkness that lies beyond the multiverse. Might this Darkseid, which is allegedly his ultimate form, have some knowledge of the anti-life that made him give up his pursuit? This version of Darkseid spent his life seeking the anti-life equation, only to lose it as soon as he gets it. The effect on him is profound, humbling him and reducing him to a shell of what he once was, as he watches it destroy a universe. This is very interesting, actually, because that makes me ask the question, will even Darkseid be in the Flash movie? This is interesting, very interesting. Will there be anything left of Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 to do? I don't know, but they could set a brand new course for him. Maybe, like in this, looking for the darkness beyond the multiverse, because the multiverse is a concept that will be used a lot in Andy Muschietti's Flash movie. But I like that. I like that story. I like that graphic novel story. It's very interesting to see him fall in love with Wonder Woman and become, you know, a sheer shadow of the man he once was, because it happens to a lot of us, doesn't it? One minute we've got the confidence, and then something knocks our confidence and we're not the same ever again. Well, this is an interesting update. Batman webtoon live action show announced with first look images. I know nothing about this version of Batman or how it works, where it is, but I was kind of interested reading this article, and I thought you guys and girls, or however you identify it as, would be interested in this as well. DC announces a new series based on the popular webtoon comic Batman. Wayne Family Adventures, produced by YouTube fan film channel Is My Hawk. Interesting. By Elliot Griffiths of Screen Rant. DC Comics has announced a new live-action web series based on the webtoon Batman Wayne Family Adventures. The series, created by the YouTube production channel Is My Hawk, is a fan-produced but DC licensed adaptation of the new light-hearted and family-orientated webcomic. It's interesting though, isn't it, that DC have licensed the fans' concept. That's amazing. I think that's great. So don't give up, everyone, if you want to do something like this. Brilliant. Multiple DC heroes are set to debut in the show, including live-action first appearance for Duke Thomas, Signal. Batman Wayne Family Adventures was announced as a webtoon story via DC on Batman Day. Webtoon is an online comics readership service popularizing both independent and professional comics and manga series. DC delved into the medium when they announced a comic story following the extended Bat family, Batman and his many sidekicks going on their crime-fighting adventures with a new comedic spin. Wayne Family Adventure shows readers a lesser-seen side of the miniature involved with life as a super family, such as fighting over who uses the gym equipment first. A live-action miniseries was announced at DC's Fandom online event, with IGN revealing first-look images that can be seen below. The series is being produced by Isma-Hulk, a fan film YouTube company that made the popular Nightwing fan series in 2014. Isma-Hulk was established in 2012 by Danny Shepard and Jeremy Lee as a channel specialising in indie fan films, with everything from Daredevil to Assassin's Creed in their repertoire. Now they partner with DC Comics officially to bring this new story to life. Many DC heroes will be appearing in the show, including Batman, Nightwing, Oracle, Red Hood, Spoiler, Orphan, Damian Wayne's Robin, Signal and Alfred. Wow! The images give a first look at the costume Red Hood, as well as Damian Wayne and Dick Grayson playing chess in Wayne Manor. The assembled Bat family are also seen out of costume training in a gym. Other images give a behind-the-scenes look at on-set preparation, including stunt choreography and makeup. The series looks to be lovingly crafted, with a tight-knit ensemble cast and plenty of hands on deck behind the camera too. Among the actors participating, Power Rangers Dino charges Yoshi Suduso, who takes on the coveted role of Dick Grayson Nightwing. Suduso even took to Twitter to mark his anticipation. As seen in the official images, the Bat family is assembling in live action for the first time in an official project. The series is an exciting risk take for DC, one of the first big comic companies to promote and encourage a fan film channel. That's great. Now, I would think this is due to Ann Sarnoff's influence as well. If successful, this series could lead to many more fan film producers fulfilling their dreams of working alongside the major studios. Isma-Hulk proved they could make impressive fan films over the years with comic-accurate costumes and appreciation for the source material, so their official partnership with DC will likely excite Batman fans and general audiences online. Batman Wayne Family Adventures is set to release on YouTube later this month. As I say, something at WB is changing, and I think Ann Sarnoff is bringing some great initiatives, and Jim Lee, who is the controller of DC Comics now. This is brilliant to have fans be able to do something like this, fully licensed by DC Comics. It should inspire anyone to try their hand at it themselves. Michael Keaton praises Will Arnott's Lego Batman performance. By the way, it is a great performance and it's a great movie. Iconic Batman actor Michael Keaton is a fan of Will Arnott's performance in the Lego Batman movie, saying Arnott's version is really funny. By Adam Bench of Screen Rant, Michael Keaton praises Will Arnott's performance in the Lego Batman movie. Keaton was one of the first actors to don the cape and cowl in a feature film for Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, co-starring Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and again for Batman Returns in '92. Burton's darker take on the iconic DC character, along with Keaton's acclaimed portrayal, is credited with introducing a new generation to the comics, paving the way for future adaptations by Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder. 30 years after his last portrayal, Keaton will reprise his role as Batman Bruce Wayne in Andy Muschietti's upcoming DCEU film The Flash, which will also see Ben Affleck reprise his version of the same character. All the while, Matt Reeves' forthcoming Batman movie will introduce another iteration of the Caped Crusader, portrayed by Robert Pattinson. With almost too many Batmen to keep track of, animated versions such as Will Arnott's Lego Batman are sometimes overlooked. Not by me. Michael Keaton appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert to promote his latest miniseries, Dope Sick. Then, when the conversation naturally veered into Batman after Colbert called Keaton's version the gold standard, Keaton revealed he was a fan of another iteration, Will Arnott's Lego version. I'll tell you a great version, and that is, if you haven't seen it or heard of it, Will Arnott's Lego Batman is really funny. It is so good, and I haven't seen it in ages, and I must revisit that. Best known for his comedic turns in Arrested Development and BoJack Horseman. Wow, Arnott is even better in BoJack Horseman. What a great show from Netflix, by the way. Brilliant. Best known for his comedic turns in Arrested Development and BoJack Horseman, Arnott's Lego Batman debuted in 2014's The Lego Movie. After the reimagination of the iconic character in plastic form was such a hit, he was given a solo spin-off in 2017, the Lego Batman Movie. Despite being a fun family comedy, some consider it one of the best Batman movies ever made. I think it's great. Though the movie seemed destined for a sequel, a rights issue will unfortunately prevent the Lego Batman 2 movie from happening. Well, I think eventually we may see. I mean, this is Hollywood after all. It's nice to see Keaton giving due praise to a fellow Batman actor's performance, especially one that is often overlooked since it's not live action. Arnott returned to voice Batman as recently as 2019 in the Lego Movie 2, the second part, though this will likely be the last time since Warner Bros. Opted not to renew the Lego Movie film rights. Instead, fans can look forward to Matt Reeves' Batman movie followed by Keaton's highly anticipated reprisal in The Flash, both of which will be releasing next year. Very exciting for all of that, isn't it? And I am pumped and excited, as you already know. But it is great for Keaton to be talking about Batman so much, excited for what he did in the Flash movie, and to say he loved Will Arnett's performance in the Lego Batman movie is great, because it actually is a lot of fun. Although we're called the DCEU Daily, I will cover any stories that cover the DC realm because I'm a DC fan. But the priority will always be DCEU, DC live action breaking news. But I will cover other aspects of DC live action and even the comics and sometimes animation. But this is one for you Arrowverse fans. Wentworth Miller returning as Captain Cold in Legends of Tomorrow's 100th episode. This is interesting considering he said he didn't want to play straight characters anymore. That's what he said. Wentworth Miller is reprising his role as Captain Cold for Legends of Tomorrow's 100th episode, which is set to bring back many classic characters by Richard Fink of Screen Rant. Wentworth Miller is returning as Captain Cold for Legends of Tomorrow's 100th episode, originally appearing as the character in Season 1 of The Flash. Miller's version of the character Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold, broke out as a fan favourite character and joined the spin-off series Legends of Tomorrow in 2016, which united various heroes and villains from Arrow and The Flash. Miller stayed aboard the Wave Rider for one season as he was killed off in Season 1, Episode 15, Destiny, where he sacrificed his life for the rest of the team. Miller would return to Legends of Tomorrow in Season 2 as a villainous past version of himself as part of the Legion of Doom, and then again as an alternate heroic version of himself, Leo Snart aka Citizen Cold, in Season 3 of the series. Miller has reprised his role on The Flash as a past version of himself that Barry contacted through time travel, but the character that grew to sacrifice himself has not returned to the series since. As more members of the Legends left the Wave Rider, it seemed unlikely that Captain Cold would ever return. And considering Wentworth said he didn't want to play any more straight roles, it is very surprising he's doing that, but I think it's great for the fans for sure. According to TV Line, Wentworth Miller will return to Legends of Tomorrow for the series' 100th episode, reportedly directed by Katie Lotz, who plays Sarah Lance and is the only original member of the team left. The episode will revisit past seasons through the eyes of the Wave Rider's AI, Gideon. Amy Louise Pemberton and will air on October the 27th, 2021. The decision was made to allow the new Legends of Tomorrow recruits to interact with some of the old members, probably because no one's interested in the new members of the team, like Miller's Captain Cold. Read what executive producer Phil Klemmer said in the interview with TV Line below. The whole episode really is predicated on memory and Gideon's memory. It occurred to us in being forced to do a retrospective of 100 episodes that Gideon really is the only person who saw everything. Obviously Sarah Lance has been there from the very beginning, but she's just a person. There were things that she missed, and so we were really excited about going back through the seasons and sort of tracking the evolution of the show, and doing that through Gideon's eyes. We also wanted to give a chance for the newest generation of Legends, the Astras and Spooners of the team, to meet up with some of the original gang. There's been no word yet on what other characters will be returning for the 100th episode. Dominic Purcell, who played Captain Cold's main partner Mick Rory, aka Heatwave, on Legends of Tomorrow, is set to take on a small recurring role in Season 7, so it is likely he will appear. Given that Matt Ryan and Tala Ashi are still on the series, it is likely their past characters John Constantine and Zari Tomaz will appear. No word has been made on if Hawkman, Falk, Henschel, Hawkgirl Sarah Renee, Rip Hunter, Arthur Duval, Firestorm Victor Garber and Franz Dramy of Vixen, Charlie Mazie, Richardson Sellers will return. Brandon Routh is set to reprise his role as Ray Palmer, aka The Atom, in the 5-part crossover event of The Flash. But there's been no word on the Legends of Tomorrow return. Despite only having been on one season of Legends of Tomorrow, Miller's Captain Cold still remains a favourite among viewers, and his return is likely to be a welcome surprise, even if it is a brief one. The character's death on Legends of Tomorrow was likely caused by the original intent to feature Captain Cold as the villain of the Flash film in 2018. That's not true. Wentworth wanted to depart, and Zack Snyder's Justice League sequels, that's not true. And Warner Brothers didn't want two versions of the same character. No, that's not the reason. Now that the Flash movie has taken a new direction, the door remains open for Captain Cold to return in a more permanent role if the creators and Wentworth Miller wanted to. Well, the creators want to, Wentworth doesn't. Wentworth wants to play other kind of gendered roles. He doesn't want to play straight roles. He said it himself. It's not me saying it. I'm not judging. I'm not going to talk about an actor supposed to play, come out of themselves and play something that they're not. It's up to Wentworth. He's got a great CV. He was great in Prison Break. He was great in the Arrowverse as well. It's entirely up to him. I love him to bits personally, and he's gone through it actually, Wentworth. He's suffered with mental illness. He's a really great guy, and he talks about it. He tries to inspire other people who suffer with mental health problems as well. So he's a great guy, and it's great to see him back in his role as Captain Cold. And finally today, I bet you're saying thank fuck, Christopher Nolan praises the Batman director and star Robert Pattinson. The Dark Knight director Christopher Nolan reacts to Matt Reeves' The Batman, praising both the director and leading man Robert Pattinson by Saeed Fadullah Hassani of Screen Rant. Christopher Nolan is all praises of the Batman's director Matt Reeves and lead star Robert Pattinson. DCEU's hotly anticipated blockbuster The Batman will see the Twilight alums suit up as a new version of the Caped Crusader. Originally the movie was meant as a solo vehicle for Ben Affleck's Batman, but after he exited the project, Matt Reeves took over the helm and repurposed the story to tell a tale set in the second year of the titular vigilante's crime-fighting career. The Batman is being touted as a very different take on The Dark Knight. It's more of a psychological thriller that explores the detective side of Batman as he seeks to uncover the corruption in Gotham City. Perhaps one of the reasons why the Batman has fostered such a bustling fan base even ahead of its release is the intriguing ensemble it boasts. Oh, I'll tell you why everyone's so hyped for it. It's simple, it's Matt Reeves, the man's a genius. That's why we believe in him. Besides Pattinson, the movie features Paul Dano as the Riddler, an emerging serial killer who is the film's main antagonist, and Colin Farrell as Penguin, a DC villain who is also getting his own spin-off show on HBO Max. Zoe Kravitz attached to play Selena Kyle Catwoman, while Andy Serkis and Jeffrey Wright are essaying the roles of notable Batman allies Alfred Pennyworth and Commissioner Jim Gordon. Respectively, the looks at a few of these characters were teased in a trailer at last year's DC Fandom. The trailer was presumably one of the biggest highlights of the event, as it caught the attention of ever the most prolific directors in Hollywood, including the maestro Christopher Nolan himself. Recently, Nolan appeared on the podcast Happy, Sad, Confused, where he was asked to share his views about Reeves' the new Batman movie. As someone who has made a fortune out of directing a massively successful trilogy of films centered on The Dark Knight, Nolan responded that he appreciates how there are so many interpretations of the character being made that are different from his. Talking about the Batman specifically, he voiced confidence in Reeves' direction, at the same time praising Pattinson's talent, with whom he recently had the pleasure of working on the sci-fi action thriller Tenet. Read what Nolan said below. The Batman as a character benefits from reinterpretation. Matt Reeves is a great filmmaker, that he is, and Robbie's one of the greats. Yeah, I agree, Chris. Over the years, Batman has given fans both the best and worst superhero movies of all time. Nolan's ambitious and brooding Dark Knight trilogy is definitely one of the better examples of live-action features based on the character, although there have been some outright failures such as 1997's Batman and Robin and 2016's Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. Outright failures. Outright failures. Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice is an outright failure, mate. No. Is a film that makes just under $1 billion globally a failure? Of course we expected him, wanted it to do more. Of course the studio did as well. But that's not a failure. You know, BVS has a hardcore fan base, and I'm part of that hardcore fan base. How dare you? Anyway, where are we? Reeves' upcoming movie nevertheless seems to be one of the more promising films focused on the vigilante. It has a certain indie feel to it, and its cast members are particularly optimistic about its success. Star Andy Serkis even claims that the movie will be amazing special and an absolute masterpiece. He additionally notes that he boarded the Batman to re-team with Reeves, whose work on the Planet of the Apes films had left him impressed. Nolan's remarks about the Batman, Reeves and Pattinson certainly bode well for the forthcoming DC live-action feature. There is no doubt the film is being awaited by many, but while some are enthusiastic about a standalone film, others are a bit sceptical, especially with Zack Snyder's Justice League reigniting interest in Affleck's Batman. Previous comments from the movie's star did get some dubious viewers to warm up to the film, and hopefully now with Nolan welcoming Reeves' new rendition of the Caped Crusader, some more enthusiasts will also rally behind the Batman. For those who are still in doubt, a new trailer for the movie is due to drop at the DC Fandom on October the 16th, so they should stay tuned to get a clearer picture of the film's grand scope and scale. Well, I am not a doubter. Listen, you can be a fan of all the iterations of Batman. It's great. There's nothing wrong with that. We can enjoy them all. We're getting loads of Batman. There's nothing wrong. We're getting loads of Superman, which we're going to get, by the way. We've got 2 Supermen of colour coming to us in live action, and hopefully Cavill too at some point. And we're getting lots of versions of Batman. And we're getting Batgirl as well. It's exciting. Now, I just want to say one thing before I finish today's episode of the DCEU Daily, and it's been a long one and an excruciating one, I'm sure, for some of you. I want to talk about Zoe Kravitz's comments that she didn't want to play a fetish style Catwoman, and she didn't want to be stereotyped, blah, 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 blah. I sometimes wish that these performers would keep their gobs shut. Zoe Kravitz has no authority or responsibility. If Matt Reeves told her to hop on one leg wearing a really tight black leather jumper, waving her booty about, she would have had to do it. Now, of course, Matt Reeves would never do that. He's a gentleman and he's got a great vision and he respects everyone, and he wouldn't do that. Matt Reeves has a different vision for this version of Batman and this version of Catwoman. Zoe Kravitz is an okay actor, but the only reason she's got this role is because she's related to Jason Momoa. She's his stepdaughter or something like that. Now, I'm not saying she can't act. I'm not saying she's not going to be any good. I just feel talking like this is stupid and it's off-putting to the audience. But I can't wait for her performance, and the test audiences have been telling me it's pretty great. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And don't forget, in over a week's time, Fandom is coming here. And I will be executing, that sounds a bit of a dramatic word, executing bite-sized videos on Fandom and beyond. So you don't want to miss it. So you don't miss it, hit the notification bell and please, please subscribe. And I will, of course, be back tomorrow for even more DCEU Daily. Until then, goodbye.